which you'll be discussing for some time now, that I think today the challenge before the social sciences is not only to understand India and understand it because that's a continuing concern, its experiences and its analysis, but to see how that can contribute to general social science knowledge. Idea being, it's easy for me to talk about political science here because you don't want, because you can say you are doing Western, I will now do Indian political thought. But the idea then is that you will remain, as it were, you may say this is very relevant for us, but we have to be relevant also and intervene in the world. So I think all the thinking we got from the category of difference played a very critical role in redefining disciplines, making us think deeper about ourselves, about our disciplines, about the world in which, the society in which we are living, and focus on that. But now it is time to move from individuality, that is the particular India, whatever country or whichever country one is focused on, to universality, or at least what one might call global knowledge. I'm saying this because for some time, for some years, at least over the last maybe 10 years or less, there is something called, we've been talking a great deal, may not be here, but elsewhere, about global knowledge project. So one has to imagine, and social sciences in India also have to imagine themselves as contributing to and being part of. Earlier, due to colonial rule, there was always the thing you were excluded. So you had to bring yourself in and understand to be in a position to be included. That has happened. I think now it is time to see how our experiences and our theorization on the basis of that experience, or our conceptualization on that basis of that experience in different fields, actually contributes to existing social science theories and global knowledges. Because the goal of social sciences should be to have global conversation, to see how our experience is not only relevant for us, but there is something which we can exchange and share. We never learn easily, not even from our own experience. But at least a conversation will make us less anxious about some things which look too new, too different, to this, that, and the other. And this is a two-way process. I think some people have been moving in that direction. And if we are thinking in terms of discipline formation with a future orientation, then I think one needs to orient the study of social sciences in this kind of direction, where we are no longer only thinking in terms of either or, imperial versus colonial or post-colonial, Western versus India, but really see ourselves as co-producers of knowledge. So have and own that sense of equality and be co-producers, and not only produce things which we think are important for ourselves, but really see how they can develop and contribute to the thinking about more generally things that everybody's interested in: society, self, human futures, and what would it mean to have a life well lived. So thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your profound insights and enriching our understanding. Your thought-provoking address has provided us with a strong intellectual foundation, encouraging deeper reflections and meaningful discussions throughout this session. We now invite Dr. R.K. Dwivedi sir to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. I learned a lot. Really, I am thankful, first of all, to our principal, Professor Manoj Sinha, who always gives a push to innovative thoughts, revolutionary thoughts, which embellish the data of our college. Professor Satish Jha, Professor Arvind Mishra, I've always been there. Uh, I know him from the very beginning for the last 6, 7 years. Departments of psychology, English, history, economics, political science, all have done a very grand thing. And all my students over here and all the teachers of all the departments have done a wonderful job. And especially to Dr. Ankit Prakash. Yesterday he got promotion and today he is on a revolutionary mode altogether. When we were talking about the discipline formation, it's a very unique and very beautiful thing. In Department of Psychology, about 6, 7 years back, we will keep parroting the same old thing, which were always discussed by the Western thinkers. But suddenly, Vivekanand, Arvindo, and others were introduced. And we realized that Vivekanand had a tough discussions with Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, William James, brother of Henry James, and all these things were still in the dark. But in the post-independent India, in the decolonized India, new thoughts are coming and new way of exploration of things are coming over here. When we talk about the European and American psychology, it is more based on individualism, which was fueled by Renaissance. But now this India has a different type of social setup altogether. And we are trying to look at things from typically Oriental perspective. There was Occidental and Oriental. And in this case, English literature brought a radical change. Now, we from Shakespeare and Aristotle, we are coming to Kalidas and Rasa theory. Now, Rasa theory is very applicable in the Department of Psychology also, and they are exploring the possibilities, how it brings down attention and many other psychological problems. So, now we are studying Manipuri poems, Odisha writer Fakir Mohan Senapati, Rabindranath Tagore, Muktibodh, Girish Karnad, all these are the part of, even Mahabharata and Abhigyan Shakuntalam. So we are bringing a radical change, and many of the suppressed voices that were there, Dalit literature and others, they are coming to the forefront, and then new grounds are being broken every now and then. Economics, history, political science, all of have done this, as Madam said rightly, we are looking at it from different perspectives. Gandhian, Nehruvian, and Ambedkar is one of the great philosophers who is making us realize it. And I remember Department of Political Science 2 years or 3 years back had convened a seminar like this, and one of the visitors had told us that Panchatantra is prescribed in many of the European countries, not European, Arabian countries, in Department of Political Science. So Panchatantra is also a method of understanding politics. We are still sticking to the old mode of thinking, but he was telling in many other countries, people are going ahead. Even in the case of Chanakya's Arthasastra, his name is not Arthasastra, but it is a book of political science, but politics depends on economics. That's what Chanakya is trying to say. So in a very nice way, Madam covered everything and we all learnt a lot. Means in the case of economics also, we are turning from European-centric point of view to Indian-centric point of view, yes. But while talking about these things, at the very end, you also gave a note of caution that we become too much inward-looking and too much thinking about only our own country. There is a danger of getting isolated from everything. We have to become a part of the whole world. The thoughts get generated because of many typical personal reasons, but they should be applicable elsewhere also. And fortunately, Madam, today I was teaching Rabindranath Tagore's Vishwa Sahitya. He was delivered in the speech in 1902. He was asked to deliver the speech on comparative literature. The Europeans and Americans were there, but he said no comparative literature. He called it Vishwa Sahitya. And Vishwa Sahitya, he said, Sahitya means Sahit, saath leke chalne ka. And which means on international level, whenever you generate a particular form of knowledge, and if it's not applicable in most of the other parts, it becomes redundant with the passage of time. So whatever form of the knowledge may be related to economics, political science, history, English literature, psychology, it should have a universal appeal and universal application. And that's what I taught, fortunately, today. Rabindranath Tagore was in 1913 and 14 giving us a warning that in our too much of adherence to so-called nationalism, we should not lose sight of the greater universal aspects of life. And this is what Vivekananda had also said about it, that we may talk about the India and other things, but we are part of the whole global thing. And as you said, globalization is there. So when we are talking about it, we should not be very insular and restricted in our point of view. So with this, thank you very much to all of you, and thank you to Mohammed.
Uh, Sorry, sir. Sorry, I need your attention. The vote of thanks would be incomplete if I will not mention one thing. Professor Girisha Mishra was invited to give the keynote address earlier, but due to his health condition, last moment he could not leave, didn't find well enough. So I contacted Ma'am a few days back, and within few days she prepared the keynote for us and delivered a wonderful lecture to us. And we are really honored that she is there. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughtful words. As always, your acknowledgement serves as a fitting conclusion to this event, leaving us with a sense of appreciation on the meaningful discussions we have engaged in. Now, we invite everyone, especially our esteemed guests and our faculty, to join us in the tea break. After that, we'll commence with our first session. Thank you so much, sir. The venue is adjacent to the campus. Yeah, yeah.